Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John. Today we begin looking at John chapter 11. Now the entirety of chapter 11 deals with this miracle of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. This is the seventh miracle, the seventh sign that John reveals to us as he gives us the story of the gospel. Now we've mentioned this several times throughout our study in John, that John makes it quite clear that Jesus performed many miracles, or as he calls them, signs. For all of the miracles are signs that point to who Jesus truly is. So although he tells us Jesus performed many miracles, he gives us the detailed accounts of 7 of them. Very carefully selected, these 7 will reveal to us quite clearly who Jesus is. So far, we've seen 6 of these. The first one was in chapter 2, when Jesus turned the water into wine. The second one was in chapter 4, when Jesus healed the son of a royal official. The third one was in chapter 5, where Jesus heals a paralytic who is lying by the pool of Bethesda. And we are told this healing occurred on the Sabbath day, which angered the Jewish authorities. How dare Jesus heal someone on the Sabbath, they thought. The fourth miracle was the feeding of the multitudes with the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and the huge multitude was fed, and 12 basketfuls were left over. That was in chapter 6. The fifth miracle was also in chapter 6, when Jesus walked on the water. He walked on the water of the Sea of Galilee. The sixth miracle was in chapter 9, where Jesus healed a man who had been born blind. Been blind all of his life, and Jesus gave him his sight back. That healing was also on the Sabbath day, further angering the Jewish leadership and driving them even to want to kill Jesus, to have him done away with, because he was healing people on the Sabbath. So we've seen these 6 miracles, and notice how they're building in intensity. From the water to wine, the healing of a royal official, son, the healing of the paralytic, feeding of the multitude, walking on water, the healing of a blind man. Each miracle is building in intensity, showing more clearly who Jesus really is. And now that brings us to the 7th miracle, the last one that John will detail, the last miracle of Jesus he will tell us about in detail, and that is the raising of Lazarus, which clearly points to who Jesus is as the resurrection and the life. Now all of these miracles, of course, are pointing to the great miracle, the grand miracle, which is coming in the resurrection of our Lord on Easter Day. But we're at chapter 11 now, and it's the raising of Lazarus. Now the chapter begins with this simple introduction. Now there was a man named Lazarus who was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters, that is Mary and Martha, sent word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is sick." So we're told about Lazarus and his 2 sisters, Mary and Martha, who live in the village of Bethany, not too far from Jerusalem. It seems that Jesus was especially close to them. Lazarus is called his friend. And we know that oftentimes when Jesus would be visiting in Bethany, he would stay in their home. It's interesting that throughout the Gospels, we are never given a recorded word of Lazarus. He never speaks, that his words are recorded for us. But we do have the words of Mary and Martha. We're also told that Mary is the one who would anoint Jesus' feet with perfume and wipe them with her hair. That story will actually be told us when we get to chapter 12. But it's mentioned here that Mary's the one. So they're very close to Jesus. And when Lazarus falls sick, and it obviously is a serious illness, because they send word to Jesus. Now remember we saw in chapter 10 that after the conflict with the Jewish leadership, Jesus withdrew from Jerusalem and went down to the Jordan, to the wilderness area where John the Baptist used to baptize. They know where he's at, but they send word, "Your friend, our brother, Lazarus, he is sick. It must be a serious illness there. They're afraid that it might end in his death. He is sick. Please come." They want Jesus to come. So this sets the scene for that 7th miracle, the 7th sign John's going to tell us about in the gospel. Jesus receives the word that Lazarus is sick from the sisters. They want Jesus to come. What is he going to do? We're going to spend the next few days looking at this wonderful miracle and all that it teaches us, but we'll continue tomorrow with the second paragraph, when Jesus receives the word that Lazarus is sick. So join us next time for our 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John.